Test. Well, there we are. I guess you're in the car, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, we're about 15 seconds away from airtime. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the campus of Metro Tech of in the beautiful the stilted room here that they were so afraid because of the inclement weather that the crowd might be light. Well, it's not. This is Ben Buckland with you on KALV and KALVradio.com all across the world. And in just a moment, the next voice that you hear will be the actual official voice of the person that's going to hold the forum tonight, Scott Brown. We want to welcome you in on behalf of the radio station and all the people here. And if you have questions, let me give you Jacinda's question number. It is 405-406-7546. If at any time tonight you want to text in a question, 405-406-7546. Scott will take the podium at 7 o'clock, and we'll be ready to go. And I think it's close to 7 o'clock. We welcome you on KALV.
All right, folks. I'm going to go ahead and get us started. That clock there tells me it is now 7 o'clock, and I am not a big fan of microphone, but I will do my best to hold this thing as close to my face so that you can hear me as we go through this evening. I do welcome you to the campus of Northwestern Technology Center. We are proud to be able to host the event. Northwest Tech is simply providing us with these great accommodations for the event. They're not here to endorse or sponsor anyone in this campaign. So my name is Scott Brown. I do work here for Northwest Technology Center out of their Fairview campus as a business coordinator. I was contacted by the ladies that helped put this thing together, Danielle and Gigi. So you can thank those two fine ladies. They didn't want to stand up and get in front of a camera or do any of that for you tonight. But those two put this thing together. I am simply a microphone and a mouth, okay? So that's all Scott Brown is bringing to this is the microphone and the mouth to talk to you a little bit. You do see that this is being streamed live on KALV radio through live stream. Mr. Ben Buckland is down front here to do that for us today. I'm going to see if I can get my clicker running and flip through a few things for you. I do want us to be sure we can attend to some of these rules. As you see in that very first one, because we're live streamed out to the world, let's be responsible with the choice of words and behaviors that we exhibit here tonight, and not just because we're on that FCC regulated stream, but also because we are good people, okay? The other thing is, we have asked, and I have already asked these two young men that are down front here, be nice, be nice. And I'm gonna ask all of you the same thing. Be nice, okay? We can have our opinions, we can have our ideas. Let's be nice, all right? We're gonna try and do this as quickly as we can. We're gonna try and pass through everybody. You're gonna see here in the next slide or so a sequence that's going to start. The random order that was assigned for passing through the questions is by alphabetical from the last names. And then, so we will go 1, 2, 3, then we will go 2, 3, 1, 3, 1, 2, and so on. And we will cycle through the questions with the candidates by that last name format. Okay? Anybody have any questions before I start into any more of this? As I mentioned with the box, I hope to get to some open forum questions out here with you. Again, be nice. Okay? All right, so we'll get things started, and by alphabetical last name assignment puts us right off the bat with Mr. Joe Parsons for an introduction from Joe. Joe, have at it.
Well, first, I'd like to thank everybody for being here tonight. It's great to see a room full of people who truly care about our community, and it really makes me happy as a council member to see so many people out here that care about Alva. I'd also like to thank Mr. Brown and then the ladies that organized this tonight who put all the time into making this event happen, and also Northwest Technology Center for allowing us to have this event here. They are a great asset to our community, and we greatly appreciate them. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Joe Parsons. I've been in Alva all my life. Graduate of Alva High School. I'm employed at Wendy Ford here in Alva, and I'm also very involved at 818 Diner. I'm not going to say employed, but I'm very involved at 818 Diner, and I am very involved in the community. Some of the things that I'm proud of that I do is I'm a member of Banquet, which is a nonprofit here in Alva that raises funds for different groups and also helps people when they're having a hard time. I'm also a member of the Citizens Advisory Committee for the Bill Johnson's Correctional Center, another great asset to our community. And I will tell you, through my experience being on that advisory committee, if touring that facility, you could really see some lives being changed out there, and it's a great thing that we have here in Alva, Oklahoma. I've been on council for 3 years and also on the airport board, not quite as long, and on the Public Safety Committee, along with some other committees and different service through the city of Alva. But my love and care for Alva didn't start just 3 years ago. It started many, many years ago before I could even legally run for public office. I ran for office my first time at 18, lost by a few votes, but that didn't stop me. From that day on, I was very involved in the city. I went to city council meetings and kept informed and tried to be a positive change for our community. I've always believed that one should be the change they wish to see in the world. And that's what got me into running for public office originally. With my experience as a council member, I truly believe I'll be able to hit the ground day one and get to work. There's not going to be much of a learning curve for me because I'm very familiar with what's going on at the city, and I think that we can really do some great things together.
All righty, thank you, Joe. Next up, we'll turn to the screen here. Mr. Ferries is not able to be here with us in person tonight, and unfortunately we are unable to get a link-up situation as he's out, I believe, taking a cruise. So he's not able to be here with us tonight, but we did get at least an introduction and the 5 questions that each of the candidates were provided early on. So we'll hear from Mr. Ferries now.
been a horseman for over 35 years. I also roller in the state. Maybe a lot of you older people know what roller derby was or is. To you younger people, roller derby and ice hockey. I'm also a minister. I was the New World Life Church 8 years ago, and I guess what I'm here to say, I have roots. They live here. My father for the service. I know this. Right. To move here. We moved here 4 years ago. I've loved it ever since. I work at Northwest College.
All right. So that is our candidate, Mr. Brian Ferris. And next up, we have Mr. Joey Melton.
Well, I'm not a sitter. I have severe ADHD, so I'm going to get up. If you can't tell, I am not comfortable with public speaking. I'm completely out of pocket. I usually have a tool bag and dirty jeans on, and I'm fixing something for you. So my background history immediately is I've spent 47 years of my life on the downtown square of Alva, Oklahoma, and my mom is here, who has been there all 47 years, and I can tell you I'm not then what I am today. I started out very young and had to evolve into what I am today, and thank you, Mom, for not drowning me in the river. So I've ran my own heat and air company for the last 37 years. I have a full-blown tree company. I do tree work all over town in the county. Rent houses, got cows on ground, kind of well-rounded. And there's not too many problems I haven't found that I couldn't fix with a little hard thinking on it. So that's about it, really. I think that I could be a great asset to the community. I have decades of wisdom, lots of mistakes behind me, and lots of successes to stack on top of that to show that I do figure things out and I can make things happen. So that's it. Thank you.
All righty. Thank you, Mr. Melton. All right. That brings me to the section where each of these candidates received in advance 5 questions from the committee that put this thing together. They had some time and opportunity to study what their answers were going to be for those questions before getting here tonight. We're going to start with those, and as I said, we'll be rotating through the cycle, so Mr. Melton will get the first attempt at this question, and this question is, transparency seems to be something the citizens feel is lacking in our community. What are steps you are going to take to ensure transparency in all aspects of city government?
So this will be a short and sweet one. One thing that's always bothered me is the Finance Committee meeting being held behind locked doors. I say locked, closed doors. And I believe according to Open Meetings Act, it should be held out in front of everybody. As uncomfortable as the conversation gets, as the city council and government handle the people's money, I think it needs to be laid out in front of them and let them know what's going on. And the other side of the transparency is I believe that the agenda should be put out quite a bit earlier to give the mayor, business manager, city council all time to talk about it. Let the citizens know what's on it in plenty of time so they have concerns, questions, they can get with their representative, and that representative can bring it to the council and it can be a part of the discussion for the forward motion of the city of Alva.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Melton. Mr. Parsons, you are next.
Well, I will say that Mr. Melton's answers both were excellent answers, and I don't disagree with either. The agenda thing has been one of my biggest frustrations as a council member. There's times that council members are expected to make decisions with only a few days' notice to do research and talk to people, and that's something that definitely does need to be looked at. And I will say, as a council member, I'm very proud that I consider myself the most transparent council member. Whether the council members that are here or not agree, I don't know, but there's no one who posts on Facebook more than I do. I will guarantee you that. And if you don't have Facebook, I do occasionally write a newspaper article, and I take a lot of questions at the 818 Diner, Walmart, getting gas, and anywhere I'm at, and I answer my phone when you call. So I will tell you, as far as transparency goes, I do agree. The city needs to do better. The citizens deserve it. As a council member, I feel like I have a pretty good track record of being transparent and seeking the opinions of the public and understanding that as a council member, it's my job to represent you guys. It's not my job to do what I want to do. It's my job to do what you want me to do. That's what you elected me to do. And that's going to be the same way that I would be as mayor.
All right, thank you, Joe. And next we'll hear from Mr. Ferris.
For the fact that there's not a whole lot involved as far as available. How about we I will break down the budget. There will be no longer budget where it says city, you know how budgets break down what department, how much. Well, that's all in fine. However, that's all it says. Now, just because the transportation department gets 1,000, that doesn't mean that the transportation doesn't get the full 20,000. There's a list of things that go into that 20,000 that it's spent on. It could be on Ubers. Well, it can also be spent on a lot of waste. What I mean by waste, just stuff that really has no impact on the city, but helps other people. In other words, it's the good old voice, we're going to take care of everybody, but then no one knows where that money goes. Transparency means that me, myself, I will have weekly meetings, whether it's the school auditorium, at the high school, or wherever, people that want to know can come in, they can talk about, I can show them what the budget is, what exactly. Also, too, just do meetings where people just, okay, here I am. What's going on? What do you need? Is there anything that your government is doing that it needs to?
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Ferris. And moving to the next question. Question 2 is, what is your strategy for remedying Alva's constant water issue and repairing the roads? And that one will go first to Mr. Ferris and hear from him.
It's a very simple, easy question. What I want to do, we need a city manager that is absolutely a city manager, not somebody that's in somebody's pocket. I realize that in the last 6 years we went through apparently 4 city managers, and that is a problem. That's a major problem. That means that too many hands are in the cookie jar. That's why nothing gets done. Sure, you cannot fix roads until we fix the pipe. And the pipe is a problem. And what we have to do is we've got to go and get us a city manager that will take no bull crap from nobody. He won't be influenced by myself or anybody on the board or anybody else for that. I feel that we need to go outside of Oklahoma. I feel that we need to bring somebody that has no ties to this city, that can be an open, objective person, and hasn't been bought or isn't part of the system. The reason why this mayor opened up was because Mayor Parker decided to become city manager and opened up the mayoral role. Okay, and then the past administrator, he's getting administrative leave. Okay, why is he doing that? Why are we giving money to a man that's on leave where obviously no one wants to tell us the real reason? People do not know this. They have their suspicions. I want to bring in a city manager that's not going to be dealt with it. He'll stand on his own 2 feet. He'll run the city the way it's supposed to be because the city manager basically runs the city. In our form of government, the mayor is just a trophy. What I want to do is I want to run Alva as a business. As a business. I want to put quality people under me and let them do the work and make the city look good, make our city council look good, and make me look good.
Okay, next to answer that same question, what is your strategy for remedying Alva's constant water issue and repairing roads? That one goes to you, Mr. Joey Mel.
Well, when you drive around town, you can see that there's been lots getting done on the water. One of the issues I have is I just don't believe that our street department has the proper equipment, proper training, the ability to build good long-term streets. And so I would say that we need to revert back to like when John Barton was mayor, Stan Klein was mayor, and just have it in the budget, hire a professional company to come in and let them do the roads and do the roads right. They'll do it fast, they'll do it proper, and let our street maintenance guys be street maintenance guys, and let our water guys be maintenance guys like they're supposed to be, and quit putting the big load on them. They're kind of overwhelmed, undermanned, and under-equipped, and I think we'd just be better off. I'm not always about shipping jobs out of town, but that is one thing where you are better off bringing in an outside contractor to make the things happen and get it done right and have faith that it's right. And if they do it wrong, then we don't have to pay them. If our own guys do it wrong, we still pay them. We're out the money, but we got a bad job. And so I think we need to kind of outsource some of that.
All right, thank you, Mr. Melton. Mr. Parsons, next is you.
You know, I agree with a lot of what Mr. Melton has to say. I think there's a good, happy medium of projects that we as a city can accomplish and things that it's best to just hire out. Water issues, it's not just here in Alva. I talk to leaders all across the state on a weekly or monthly basis, I should say, and it's a systemic issue. And it's been put off for a long time, but since I've been on council, we've invested roughly $6 million in water infrastructure. And that's not enough, but that's all we could. So I think continuing to invest as much money as possible and looking for areas that we can make measured cuts and spending that money on water infrastructure and then streets after the water infrastructure is done is extremely important. Anyone who's asked me, what's the most important thing to you in this campaign? I've told them water and sewer infrastructure. There's nothing more important for our citizens than making sure when they turn that faucet on, they have clean, accessible water ready to them at all times. And I will tell you, we have some really great staff, and I think that for the system we have, we do a pretty good job keeping Alva with water. But, you know, we have a system, I believe the last engineer's estimate I heard was around $80 million. It's not something that's going to happen overnight, but just continuing to steadily work on it is all we can do and all we have been doing. And what I would say we need to continue to do is spend as much money on water infrastructure as possible. And then after we get the water lines from underneath the streets done, go back and do the streets. And I think what Mr. Milton said about hiring professional people to do the streets is absolutely a good idea a lot of the times, because I'd rather spend a little bit of money for something that's going to last 10 years than have to keep replacing them every 2 to 3 years like it seems like we have on some of the projects we've done.
Thank you. All right. Our next question is question 3 out of the list, and this one's going to start off with Joe Parsons answering the question. As mayor, what tactics will you employ to attract new businesses and build community growth?
Well, as someone who literally grew up in a small business and a couple of small businesses, I will tell you it's very important as a city that we are business friendly, not just for new businesses, but for businesses that are here, whether they're wanting to expand or just operate. We need to make sure that we are as business friendly as legally possible. And for that, I'd like to see a committee formed that has people who have had struggles with the city of Alva on different projects to come in and say, why is it like this? And see what we can do to maybe get some things changed to make sure our city is extremely, extremely business friendly. and inviting new people here. That's something, since I've been on council, we have hired an economic development consultant that's had meetings with some pretty big businesses to come to Alva. But he's also talked to people who grew up here, who were raised here, that says, I want to open a business in Alva. And those are the people I want to focus on. The people that are Alva people that say, hey, I want to open a business here. You know, they are going to be more supportive of our community. They're here because they want to be here, and we need to make it as easy as possible for them. Anytime somebody wants to open a business in our community, the attitude at City Hall needs to be, how can we help you? That needs to be our attitude. We need to be, what can we do to make this happen? Because as some know, sales tax is what funds cities in Oklahoma. Oklahoma is the only state in the nation that's limited to sales tax and fees for service for funding general operations. So the more we can get the sales tax up by having more businesses here, that gives us more money to operate a better city for everyone. And then as far as building growth, I've seen too many of my lifelong friends leave Alva because there was an opportunity here. There's way too many young people that are leaving our community, and that's something I want to focus on as a young person. What can we do to keep some of Alva's best and brightest, whether they're graduates from Alva High School, Northwest Tech, or the college here? What can we do to keep Alva's best and brightest in our community and making sure that we have as much opportunity as possible for them?
Very good. Thank you, Joe. Next, we'll hear from Mr. Ferris.
Of course, my goal is to bring new businesses and have Alva grow. I want Alva to grow not in stature and size. Like, I don't want 10, 15,000. I want to keep it at least somewhat small, but make more money generated to where maybe we have enough in our budget to where we can give bonus checks back to older people that need help with programs to help them. But as far as getting business, we can't get business in here until we get our old business taken care of. And we've got old business that is not getting taken care of. Me and my wife have lived here 4 years, and I mean, I've seen absolutely nothing done. The city is still like it was 4 years ago when we moved here. So how are we going to get new businesses into Alva if we can't even take care of the old business that we already have here? Our mom and pop operators, Taco Mayo, Taco Village, Cancun, even our gas stations have sometimes grilled food. Yes, I would like to plenty. I'd like to bring a Chick-fil-A. I would like to take the bowling alley and find a way to expand it to where it would be a fun place where we could have bowling and pool, all kinds of stuff for our college students. Because you got to remember, that college, 8 to 9 months a year, is a big part of the money generated in this city. So we have to make it comfortable for the kids to where they can have some fun and we can keep them off the street. So basically, the strategy is let's take care of old business, get the strong and station in, and then I will work on bringing in new business.
All right. Mr. Melton, as mayor, what tactics will you employ to attract new business and build community growth?
Well, the three main focal points on that is our zoning is a complete and total mess and needs to be looked at and reworked and make it more builder friendly. And secondly, I would like to introduce a deal where maybe a building permit, which could be several $1,000s, might be omitted if you used local contractors and keep that money stirring in town and be a little bit more of an incentive for somebody to come in and possibly buy a property, tear an old building down, build a new building, or retrofit an existing building. And thirdly, we kind of seem to have some problems at times with our inspectors and fire marshals not being real willing to work with people. And much like Joe says, we need to go to them and go, what can we do to help you make this happen, rather than, nah, we're just not interested in you, go home. And that's it.
All righty, thank you. This next question goes right back to you, Joey, and it is, if you become mayor, what is the first thing you will be addressing, and what would be your solution for resolving the issue?
Well, that's really kind of just a mirror of number 3, because that's the things I'd like to take care of is zoning, and we need to propagate some new businesses. And as far as doing that, that's kind of out of my hands. I can help get it put on the agenda, but from there, I think you see some city council members around here. Those are the people you need to look at and talk to and voice your concerns to, because they're the ones that make the vote and make it happen.
All righty, thank you. Mr. Parsons, if you become mayor, what is the first thing you will be addressing, and what would be your solution to resolving the issue?
I will say, as a council member, something that I've seen the past 3 years that has me very frustrated is, our city, I would say we're pretty reactive whenever there is a problem, but our city as a whole is not very proactive. We have to have better planning. Being the youngest person in this race by probably close to 4 decades, I'm going to say that the decisions that are made today are going to affect me and my generation a lot longer than my opponents. So I want to see some plans in place, and I'm not talking 1 year, 2 year, I'm talking 5 year, 10 year, 15-year plans that's going to get Alva on a path to be where we need to be. And I really want to do that in a way that has not been done in the past. We've had committees and we've had committee meetings, but we need to bring the public into those meetings. I see people out in this crowd that know a whole lot more than I know about some topics that we deal with. Of course they do. The city deals with a lot of things. And I want to use every single person in our town that wants to be involved, that has expertise, to help develop this plan for whether it's economic development, water and sewer, streets and alley. So I think getting some good committees going with some dedicated citizens that want to see our community grow and change in a positive direction is going to be something that I'm going to do month 1, is figure out the committees that we need, find the people that want to serve, and get started on a plan so we can get to work to make Alva the best city it can be.
All right, thank you. And Mr. Ferris.
I'm going to step back and I'm going to relay on question 2. First thing I got to do, first thing is we got to get a city manager. I mean, that's day 1. We have got to immediately go out there and get a strong city manager, even if we have a little bit of money. And then that city manager will have his responsibilities. He will be in charge of everything that goes on in the city. Now, what I have to do, first thing, I'm going to get him on the water system. We're going to figure out a way to fight. He's going to go ahead and start looking for ways that we have to do it. What is my job as mayor? I've got to use my God-given talent of being able to sell ice to the Eskimos, which means I've got to go out there, and I've got to go to Governor Stitt, and I've got to tell him, Mr. Stitt, I need all the programs that our city is eligible for, either grant, low-cost loan, whatever. It's my job to go out and get my city manager the money he needs to fix the roads and the water. Water comes, the roads are be second. That has to be every city. We can't have pipes popping and bursting because it costs us more money in the long run. We can't have people in the city of Alva, Oklahoma, without water. So my first strategy is to get a city manager, go out and get the money that I need to give to him, get the roads and everything fixed. And then once we get that established, then we work on other stuff.
Okay. Our final question of the pre-printed format for us tonight is, from all former mayors, what aspects of their leadership would you like to keep and incorporate into your own style? And that begins with Mr. Ferris.
I know is Mayor Parker, and I can only go off of what I heard you're saying I am my own man. I believe in my own system. I don't mean to sound cocky. I march to the beat of my own drum. I don't take anybody else's ways of how they do. I run things the way I want to run them. That's how I was taught as a child. Always be upfront, forward, and honest with the public. And that's what I will do to the city of Alva. I will run Alva as a business. I will run it successfully. The city council be with me. I don't want robots on the city council. I want to be a democracy. I want this like a boardroom. I'm the CEO and the city council is my board. All right? If they have a problem or if they're not agreeing with something I want, then please keep your mind and let me know. Because that's what I want. That's transparency in itself too. That you don't have a bunch of yes men. That's what we have right now. I'm not being ignorant or I'm not being cruel.
Okay. Mr. Melton, you get that same question next, and that question is again from all former mayors. What aspects of their leadership would you like to keep and incorporate into your own style?
Well, really, the only former mayor that I've talked to recently was Stan Klein. I did have a conversation with John Barton 30 years ago on a service call and garnered some good stuff from him. But when I went and talked to Stan the other day, they did get the agenda out much sooner. They would talk to the councilmen a couple at a time so they weren't violating OMA rules. And they would really get that information out there and get it to the public, or those in the council could go out and talk to the public. Other than that, I'm bringing you 4 decades of business experience. That's what I do. I'm kind of used to getting jobs. I'm used to telling crews what to do, taking their input, and I'm offering my abilities to the city of Alva if you wish to have me.
Thank you. Mr. Parsons.
You know, besides working with Kelly Parker with him being mayor, as I've been a council member, I haven't really worked with, that's the only mayor that I've talked to much, and had a few conversations with Arden Chafee, but, you know, I feel like I will definitely do things my own way, but I do have a good support system behind me. And when I say that, I've been very involved in the Oklahoma Municipal League. Any type of training that I can go to learn about how to be a better elected official, I am there and I'm on the front row. Because I know that I don't know the answer to everything. And I'm also not afraid to pick up the phone and call someone who does whenever I need to. I know mayors from across the state, you know, Mayor Poto, Scotty White, Mayor Wilburton, Lauren Mays, Mayor Guyman, Kim Peterson. That's just 3 out of probably a dozen that I talk to multiple times a year. And we talk about what's working good in their community, what's not working good in their community. And those are the people that I will rely on with questions, and obviously Mayor Parker as well, but just to see what works good outside of Alva, because there's things that they're doing that I think, wow, we need to do that here. And I've also seen things that they've done and think, wow, I'm glad we didn't do that here. So just having the resources of the people across the state that I've got to be good friends with that are in municipal government, I think will really help me in this position.
All right, thank you. That is the end of the first section of this thing this evening. As I said, those 5 questions I had some opportunity to see and understand before they were asked to answer those. The rest of the questions that we've got coming this evening are those that were submitted through the online forum, as well as those that were dropped into the box as we came in this evening. And I'm going to just basically go down the list. There are 10 questions here for the 2 candidates that are here with us this evening to answer. And then there are 3 questions for Mr. Parsons and 2 questions that were specific to Mr. Melton. Again, Scott Brown is a mouth and a mic. Okay? A mouth and a mic. So, let's see, where did we end? We ended with Joe, so we will be starting with Joe, right? Joey. We're going to start with Mr. Melton, and the question is, when you think, or what do you think the role of the mayor of Alva consists of?
Well, when you read Title 11, it's pretty clear on that. The mayor is the CEO. The mayor holds no vote and no true authoritative power, but we do have a lot of influence, and so we kind of influence the council, leave it to them to make the final decision, but it is up to us to kind of guide the city in the direction that we feel and the citizens feel that the city needs to go.
Very good, thank you. And the same question to you, Mr. Parsons. What do you think the role of the mayor of Alva consists of?
You know, Alva is a statutory aldermanic city, meaning that, as Joey said, the mayor is the CEO. In most statutory aldermanic cities across Oklahoma, they don't have city managers. The mayor is the guy who's there every single day making the decisions and running the city. Alva's ran a little bit different. It's kind of a blurred system and between two forms of government. We are an aldermanic form of government that chooses to have a city manager. The role of the mayor in Alva is obviously the agenda, working with the budget, working with department heads, and those are all the things that I'm going to do. I plan to put a lot of time into it and spend quite a bit of time at City Hall. I know the city employees over here may be thinking, oh no, Joe's going to be there more. But I'm going to put the time into it because you have to do a good job. Something else I want to talk a little bit about when we're talking the role of mayor in Alva. It's not just meetings and working with the staff. It's representing Alva all over, not just here. It's going to meetings across the state, and that's stuff I'm doing already to make sure that our legislators know that we're out here. I've been to the Capitol several times as a council member. That's something I'll keep doing. I go to Woodward for economic development meetings. That, I believe, is a big part of the role of mayor, and also just being a welcoming person in Alva. And that's something I try to do already, and I think we have a lot of great, friendly people, but just being there to welcome people to Alva and just being the friendliest person in the community, I think that's what the mayor really should be. Something else that I want to just touch on, as I've told you, that's kind of a blurred system. Eventually, I would like to see Alva look at a form of government change. The aldermanic form of government is outdated and it does not fit our community at all. And that's something I'll talk about more later, but it's something I would really like to see because as statutes wrote now, the mayor can do about everything the city manager does, but we just haven't done it in what I'm going to call modern Alva history.
Thank you. The next question, going right back to you, Mr. Parsons. What would you plan to do about the city spending money on things we do not need or cannot afford? An example listed here is $11,000 spent toward Christmas lights.
You know, that's a hard question because Christmas lights are something I love. I absolutely love Christmas. I do a free Christmas dinner with my brother every year, and that's my favorite holiday ever. But at the end of the day, there are certain things that we don't need to be spending your taxpayer dollars on. I think there's a way to get Christmas lights up in Alva without using any money out of the city's budget. I think if we did a little bit of fundraising and talked to a few people, we would still have those Christmas lights. It'll take a little bit of time, so I'm not going to sit here and say that as mayor I'm going to get rid of Christmas lights in Alva because I'm not going to, but I will look for an alternative way to keep Christmas lights that doesn't necessarily impact the city's budget. I'd also like to point out, just for those who are not aware of this, items such as Christmas lights, as a council member, that's not something the council member votes on. That's underneath the city, that's the city business manager spending limit. That's something that's just done. If that came to council for a vote, I would not vote to use your taxpayer dollars for Christmas lights.
Thank you. Would you like me to repeat that one for you, Mr. Melton, or you got it? 4 decades difference, I'm telling you, huh? Okay.
Well, so obviously I have a huge business background. And in business, you take care of the things you have to take care of. You put a little back in store in case you have some hiccups or slow times so you can still make your bank payments. And then when you are secure that you have everything covered and you have extra money left, you go look at what else you can do, whether it's to build more infrastructure or do some fancy things, maybe buy mama a new pair of shoes, something like that. So that's kind of, I would hit it with a business person's mentality, plain and simple. And there are lots of people to volunteer to do lights. And I was one of the people that went down and helped clean up the lights. I did not help put them up, but I did help clean them up. So I was there on that part, and I didn't charge anything. So.
All right, thank you, Joey. All right, what are your thoughts, Joey, about having department heads give monthly updates as a part of the city council meeting when you are a mayor?
Well, I think it'd be a good idea, but I'm pretty sure that already happens, doesn't it, Joe? I'm going to have him give me some input. He's the council guy here.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it does not happen. And that has been something that I've asked for a few times, and there's even kind of a joke going on at council meetings about reports because Councilmember Parsons is always asking for more reports.
I assumed they did it. I asked for reports from my guys, so yes, it would be something that would definitely be mandatory.
All right. And I'm would you like to answer further on that, Joe?
The biggest frustration on council, being on council, was getting reports from staff. Everything is fine and all good is not a report to Joe Parsons. A report is about a few pages long, and it tells me everything that I need to know happened in that month. And also, I think a report needs to go to not just to me, to Marion at the newspaper, and be available for any citizen who wants to pick it up at City Hall. It's not too much to ask to have one good report on our city, on how well our city's doing every month. And that is something that there will be reports done every month. A mayor's report, that's something I will commit to doing, at least one-page report that outlines what we've done. And with the city manager, I think that we have now, I think we will see some really nice reports.
All right, thank you. Right back to you, Joe. How do you think it should be handled if the city manager disregards a direction from the council?
That's, the city managers, that's not an elected position. So it's an employed position, and they have a contract, and they need to understand that they have to pretty much do as they're told. And if they're not, then they unfortunately would have to be relieved of their duties. I would hate to see that happen, but it's, at the end of the day, during my time on council, if I called the city manager about something, the reason I called him is because one of you guys called me, or someone was mad at me for it. So I called the city manager quite a bit, sent emails, text messages, and it's their job to run the city and keep the city running well. So if they disregard council, then I would think that they would have to be relieved of their duties and find someone who will align with our goals.
Thank you. Mr. Melton.
Well, in accordance with the last paragraph of Title 11 that we operate under, the mayor does have the opportunity to suspend, pretty much say, hey, you're not needed anymore if the business manager doesn't do what they're supposed to do. But ultimately, the city business manager is hired and fired by the city council. So the mayor has little input on that, some influence, but that's really out of the mayor's hands at that point.
Thank you. Back to you again, Joey. Do you have a plan in mind as a mayor that you would use to help get grants for fixing water and streets?
Well, I believe the city has a grant writer hired full-time. So I guess if that grant writer is not getting it done, maybe we need a better grant writer.
All right, thank you. Joe?
Yes, we do have a grant writer full-time. Dr. Wydick, I'm going to ask her to stand up, please, or wave her hand. Dr. Wydick has gotten well over $1 million worth of grants. I think I got a total the other day, $3 million in grants. So for that, that's free money for Alva. I'm going to ask the crowd to give her a round of applause because she's gotten our community $3 million. So we're working on grants all the time. We have a full-time grant writer, and whenever I go to events for the Municipal League or meetings with area leaders, and I tell them that as a town of 5,000, we have a full-time grant writer, they are always shocked. How do you afford to pay one? How can you do this? And then the next time I say, well, we've gotten $3 million worth of grants, say, how can you not afford to? So we're very fortunate to have a talented grant writer that does a lot for the city, and just have her keep working and keep searching and finding grants that are going to help our community.
All right, thank you. Next question, Joe. Many residents are concerned about the lack of consistent code enforcement in our town. There are properties with excessive junk, abandoned buildings, and visible disrepair that affect quality of life for residents and the way our town is perceived by visitors. If elected, what specific steps would you take to improve code enforcement, and how would you balance accountability with fairness for property owners?
You know, I think community beautification is very important. People should take pride in their property, protecting property values. I've worked in real estate. Still, have an active real estate license. It's important that we keep our city looking clean. It's important that when somebody comes to town and they're trying to decide if they want to move to Alva, that we give off a great appearance, because it's a great place. It truly is a great place to live, but there's areas that do need a little bit of work. I think that's something that we need to look at our codes and make sure that they're being enforced. But I will say there is a lot of codes on our books that, you know, the fine for a broken window or something may be several $100s, $400 or $500 on some of these fines. You know, I've had the idea to, you know, absolutely we can fine people for this stuff, but make it $5. Make it small. Make it where they're just going to have to go down to City Hall and pay it. You know, make it more of an inconvenience. And then after we've given them an abundance of time to fix the issue, then take it another step up. Because, you know, I don't want to go after anybody's property. You know, I believe in property ownership and that you have the right to own property. But at the end of the day, if it starts affecting others, that's when it's time for the city to step in and make sure that it's not affecting others. So,
thank you. Joey?
Well, I've got to agree with that. There is an ownership thing, and it may not look beautiful, but some people's standards may be different than others, and I don't know that that's always fair. I would like to see a fund started by those who have excess money, where individuals that did have a dilapidated property that would like to have that property torn down and just can't afford it could possibly apply to that, get the property torn down, still maintain ownership of that property, and have a low to no interest loan where they could pay that back off in 5 to 10 years, something more affordable to them. Because I know a lot of these people that own these properties, some of that is family property. It's been in the family for 2-3 generations, and they're not always the most moneyed people in the world, but it is important to them, no different than some of your property is important to you. They just don't have the means to keep it absolutely beautiful. I do keep my yard at home beautiful. I own a couple of those properties that probably fall in that. So, and I'm not a rich guy, so if somebody wants to put up a whole bunch of money where I could borrow some low interest, I'd love to. I'll tear the 2 houses down and we'll go from there.
Thank you. Right back to you, Joey. Before you sit back down, I tried to get that question started so you didn't sit in between. It's just a lot of up and down here. But if you are successful, or pardon me, if you are unsuccessful in this election, how do you plan to be involved and make a difference in the community?
Well, I'll go back to doing what I do. I'll continue keeping people cool in the summer, hot in the winter, and when asked to volunteer, whether it be taking banners down from the square or whatever it is that people come to me and need my help with, I'm going to continue to be that person that people can rely on to come and take care of their needs.
Thank you. Joe?
You know, I was very involved in the community before I was elected to council, and if I am unsuccessful in this, I will still be a council member, and I'll still be the person that you can call with questions, concerns, complaints, and I'll still be working for you guys in that manner, and I'll still be doing all the public service and involved with the groups I currently am.
All right. This next question is one that I think is probably one of my favorites. Joe, what is one quality about your opponents that you like?
That is a great question, because at the end of the day, we all want the same thing. We want Alva to be the best place it can be. And we all love Alva enough that we decided to throw our name in the hat. I will say I think Mr. Milton's a very hard worker. I don't know him really well, but I've seen him around our community since I was young, and I do believe he is a very hard worker, and I respect him for that. So Mr. Ferries, I think, has a lot of enthusiasm. He's very, very excited, and I think that's a good thing for him to be excited, and that's probably what I would say.
Great.
Well, I can say I'm a little jealous. Joe has youth. That's gone for me. He definitely has a vim and vigor and fire for this town, without a doubt. You'd have a hard time finding anybody that loves this town more or goes at it more enthusiastically, and I wished I had that kind of time and that kind of energy left, but at the end of the day, I've got kids and grandkids and businesses and cows, and some of that's taken up with that, and so, but I still love my town. It's very important to me. I grew up in the 400 block of Barnes Street, and nothing means more to me than continuing to be right there until hopefully I'll make it to my mom's age someday and still right there on the square being who I am.
All right, thank you. And I'm gonna skip down another question here in respect to the time that we have. And the next one I'm going to ask you is, what is one quality that makes you the best choice? Starting with you, sir. Yes.
Well, it's age. I hate to, take advantage of my opponent's youth and inexperience, but he's youthful and somewhat inexperienced, and I have decades of wisdom and trial and error and successes, and I think I have a lot to bring to the table to further the city in some very positive ways with a unique skill set.
I would say age. And the reason I'm going to say that is, the decisions that are being made today are going to affect my generation and myself for a long time, and I'm very invested in Alva. I want this to be the place that I raise a family, that I eventually open businesses. I think that it's good to have fresh blood and young people in. And I'm going to tell you, I encourage younger people to get involved in their community every single day. But I also am going to say this. If there was any other 23-year-old running for mayor, I wouldn't vote for him. So I understand what Mr. Milton says.
All righty. That is the list of questions that we had for the two candidates. These next series of questions do get a little bit, I think, from my perspective, a little more challenging to the individual candidates. And I'm going to volley these back and forth. There are 3 here for Joe and 2 here for Joey. So, Joe, I'm going to start with you with the first question that says, you are currently on the city council and things have not improved. How will being mayor enable you to do more than you are doing as a city councilman?
I could see the frustrations that a citizen could have, because it's the same frustrations that I have as a council member. But I'm going to disagree that things haven't improved. I think our city is definitely heading in a better direction than we were 3 years ago. I mean, you look at, just go downtown. And I'm not going to even say that. I should not even really taking credit for this. But I'm going to say, I mean, our city is heading in a better direction than I felt it was before I got on council. And that is a perfectly good question. One of the things that is the main reason why I'm running for mayor is so I could be a better mayor for the city council members than what I've had as a council member. I am not going to ask people to make rush decisions. I'm going to provide them with all the information. I'm going to invite the public to the meetings. And those are some really important things that I feel maybe haven't been done to the standard that I would like to see them done.
Thank you, Joe. Joey, as a long-term resident and business owner in Alva, what aspects of our community do you believe require further attention and improvement, and what potential approaches might be considered to address them?
Well, this will come from my time on city council 10 years ago and kind of what got me where I am today running for mayor is we seem to have a lot of armchair warriors, people that like to complain, but if you went to every single city council meeting, you would probably never see them there. And I think there's a great gap between city government and citizens. And I think that a lot more can be done to close that gap and get citizens involved and feel like their involvement matters. And there's a lot of things to do in that, a lot of things that would have to be passed by the city attorney to make sure they follow OMA rules. So I'd hate to bring up any suggestions, but I think there's a lot of improvement to be made to make the citizens far more involved in the city council, because the city council does get a lot of heat, but I don't see them getting a lot of input. And sometimes a lot of weight is put on their backs to make decisions. And when they make a mistake, and everybody makes them, they pick up a lot of heat with not enough input to make good decisions from the people that are complaining.
Thank you. Back to you, Joe. Going right back to age, you're relatively younger than the other candidates. Some might view that as a potential disadvantage. Could you share your perspective on how your age, and you may have already spoken to this, might actually be an asset?
Like I said, I have a lot of years ahead of me in this community, and that every day when I wake up, that's, one of my driving forces that makes me want to make this place the best place it can be for me and everyone. But it's, I'm going to tell you right now, things are, in 70 years, when I hope that I am sitting on the front row of this building listening to another young person who's running for mayor, I hope I can sit there and say, I've done everything I can to make this city the best place it can be. And I would welcome any questions for people after if they want to talk to me about my views on stuff with the city. But I'm going to tell you right now, the past 3 years, when someone needed something done or they needed help with something city related, I wasn't too young to help them.
Thank you. Joey, based on some social media comments from you, there appears there may be disagreement with the newly hired city manager and council. Will you be able to work alongside them in a positive manner?
Well, that's funny that came up, because actually today I was down pulling a permit at City Hall. Kelly Parker, our soon-to-be city business manager, was there, and I stepped in and we had conversation, and I did make the point that, say, when I did the big Bank Central job, did all the heat and air there, I had to work side by side with people that I thought were true SOBs. Not that I think Kelly is one, but I had to work with people that I did not see eye to eye with. But still, you have to make some amends. You have to get to the end of the day. You have to get to the paycheck. And so as a professional contractor, you don't always have to see eye to eye with the people that you rub elbows with, but you do have to make things work and get to the end of the job.
Thank you. Joe, final question to you, and then I've got a few more that came in through the box for you guys. How will you spend your time, or no, how will your time spent as an active city council member benefit you if you are elected mayor?
You know, from day one after the election, I'm ready to go. There's no learning curve. I know every single one of the council members really well, and I work very well with all of them. And I think that that is very, very important for our mayor to not only work well with the council members, but to know them. Because that's what it takes to get stuff done. As a mayor, if you don't have the council support, you can't get anything done. That's what it takes. And I truly believe that my relationship with the council members and serving with them is going to help me be a successful mayor. And also just being familiar with the stuff that the city's doing now and being able to step into those shoes and go to work day one and not really have any time to learn what it is being mayor, because being on council's similar, and I know what's going on with the city.
All right, thank you. Questions that came in the door this evening, I think some of these we may have already talked to, or the candidates may have already talked to these points. One of them for both of you to contend with is, do you think Alva should consider changing its form of government and become a council without wards, but 5 elected members from within the city limits? Who wants to jump up and down and take that one first? Joe. Go right ahead.
Yes, I think we need to change our form of government. No, I don't think we need to do that. There's different forms of government by Oklahoma state law. City manager is probably going to be the most common, a city manager form of government. That does not fit Alva either. Currently, we're an aldermanic. I think we need to be a charter city. A charter city is where we bring our community together and we write what form of government we want to be as the charter. So we don't have to go off of one of the options the state gives us. We let our citizens have input and decide what form of government we are on. To do that, it'll require a vote of the people, and it'll be a long process. There'll be many meetings and public input sessions. I don't think that's something that's going to be accomplished immediately, but I think we do need to be looking at doing that, because I think it would definitely be better for the city to decide what we want as a community for our form of government.
Well, not being a politician, I'm really unversed on that. I have had conversation with a couple of people that did say that a charter such style of government would be a better deal. I would have to kind of believe that because I have faith in the people that said it. It is it could be like a 2-year process, and ultimately it's a vote of the people. So what do the people want? That's a deal. It's not what the mayor wants. What do the people want?
Thank you. You answered a version of this, but I'm going to go ahead and ask, since somebody in the crowd here tonight dropped this in the box. Joey, I'll begin with you. If you were elected mayor, what would be your first priority? One more time.
Well, definitely to get sworn in. That would be a good start. And past that, I need to make connections with all the council members. I would make Joe a great mayor. He'd be a great council person. I'd be his mayor, and I'd be awesome at it. And he'd love me to pieces, as well as everybody else. I think we need to have conversation about getting the finance committee meeting out front. We need to start looking at the agenda, getting it formed earlier, getting it out, just several things. It's going to take a minute. Like Joe says, he can pretty much hit the ground running. Me, not so much. I got a little bit of a limp in my left leg, so I do semicircles. But I'll catch up. Don't worry. And just start getting things going for the benefit of the city of Alva.
Well, when Mr. Melton said that as a council member I would love him as a mayor, it just made me smile and made me think, either way, absolutely I could work with the man because I can work with anybody. And I think that's one of my skills. But I will say a plan. We got to get a plan in place. And we need a plan for water and streets and economic development. I put out a Facebook post about those things. And being business friendly, I would absolutely love to call on the business professionals of our community, the people who are in the trades, to work on that plan to make sure that Alva is as business friendly as possible.
All right, thank you. This sheet that I retrieved from the box has 4 different questions. I'm going to read what's here and let you guys field these as they're written. What does this mean? Article in newspaper, January 23rd, 2026. Reported city of Alva is in a spending hiring freeze, and at end of 6 months, only collected 38% of expected revenue in budget, but has spent 45% of expected expenses. What does this mean?
Well, as a business person, number one, apparently they saved a little money because we didn't spend 50% of the budget. But possibly, as I talked to Kelly today, maybe not the best budget planning. I think we're in some hard economic times, and I think you need to be extremely reserved with the budget that you put out there and start looking at the things that you have got to have, things that have to be in place. And some of these expansion, growth, beautification projects might need to be looked at an arm's distance until we know that we have funds secured to do it.
Thank you.
You know, what that means, just to simplify it, is the city planned to receive so much money in sales tax, and we didn't. It means that we all need to shop local a little bit more is what it means. But I will tell you, I'm not going to say it's a regular thing, but that's one of the problems in Oklahoma with how cities are funded. Sales tax fluctuates. It's nearly impossible to write a good budget whenever year to year your funding can be completely different. So is our city broke and in trouble right now? I would say no. Do we need to tighten our belt a little bit and get through? Absolutely, and that's what we're doing.
All right. I'm going to paraphrase this one down. Communication is the heading. Communications in our community need to be improved. What are your suggestions for improving communication? I'll let you go first, Joe.
You know, I will say that social media is a great tool, but it doesn't work for everybody, and that's why I try to occasionally write an article in the paper and I take questions and phone calls. But, you know, communication, I think, is one of those things. It's a two-way deal. Our citizens know that when the council meetings are, and if they don't, it's all public. Since I've been on council, we have not had a whole lot of people come to council meetings to voice their opinions, and we have a public comment section every single meeting. I've done events where I've given people the opportunity to come and talk to me as a council member and had nobody show up a couple times. So I think that we do need to work to find other ways to reach the people, but I've really tried very, very hard as a council member to communicate as effectively as possible and make sure people know exactly what's going on.
Thank you. Mr. Mountain?
Well, that goes right back to what I said about the gap between the citizens and the council. And I agree with Joe. It seems like sometimes in order to get a whole bunch of people out of the house, you either have to give away a free meal or set somebody's house on fire, and then they all show up in droves. And I don't really want to set anybody's house on fire, and so maybe Joe can give out some free meals. But we need more community involvement. It's only fair if your family's got to go out and eat, and the wife says, "Where do you want to go?" and you don't say nothing, and then you're unhappy about where you're going. Well, it's because you didn't say nothing. So we need more community involvement. We need people to get involved, not feel like they're being shut down, not feel like they're unimportant, because every citizen is why there's a city government. If there was no citizens, wouldn't be much need for government.
All right, thank you. The next question that on this paper came in was about derelict properties, and I think we already answered that. So the final question that I have in a prepared form, so if you're thinking up there, I've got one I'd really like to ask that I didn't write down, but I want to ask. We're probably going to get a couple of those. But while you're thinking of those, be nice. So, it is about economic development. The city of Alva has contracted with a firm to analyze how the city can progress. What are the benefits so far? Are we getting our money's worth? Is there a strategic plan and mission being developed behind that? I don't know if the candidates are aware of that status, but that's the question. Joe, you want to go?
So yes, the city does have a economic development firm that is working with us. It's not uncommon for municipalities to hire economic developers. Being our size, it's not something that we can afford another high-paying position, so we did talk to several firms, and we chose City Economics, Roger Godwin, and he comes to our council meetings and gives us reports on different things that he's done. We did a planning meeting, economic development planning meeting out here with the council and some stakeholders in our community. He's in negotiations with several different companies on some real estate in Alva, and I think in the next year to year and a half, we could see some great return on investment with that cost that we did have, and I'm excited to see everything that he's going to bring here.
Well, I'm definitely unversed in that. I'd love to see some reports on it, have an opportunity to talk to the gentleman. He was sitting at city council meeting when I went to the last one. He and I were the only two people there, and I had to wonder if he was Brian Ferris. I wasn't sure, so I didn't say too much to him. And then I found out afterwards who he was, saying he was gone, so there went that opportunity. I do know back in the 80s we had a Main Street deal come in. I don't know that it was had a whole lot of impact. Economics is a really good question because it definitely follows the trend of how the economy is in town. And if the economy is bad, you can hire a lot of experts and still not get much of anywhere because people don't have a lot of money. So, like I said, I'd like to see some reports from the guy and talk to him before I stated anything other than what I've already said I don't know.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you. All right. That's everything that I have in written form. Is there a hand that wants to go in the air and have a microphone shoved in its face so that they can talk? I do see one there.
So I am actually older than Joey. I don't do Facebook. There's a lot of ways to communicate. I've gone to city council where there's 2 or 3 people, and then everyone will be keyboard warriors and bitch about everything. There's a couple of things that you should consider. One's called Textcaster or an email group if you want to sign up to get information. Also, we do have a Alva page, and we used to get notifications like when the water's out. Why don't we develop that into more to passing a good notification like there's going to be a city council meeting at what time, and please come. But you guys each keep talking about Facebook, and I refuse to do it.
All right, Joey, you want it first. Here we go.
Well, Facebook's easier to open up on my phone than my email. I don't really look at email much, and if you look at my Gray Dog Mechanical on Facebook, I don't Facebook much either. I did my Facebook for Joey Melton for mayor because it seemed to me like the easiest, fastest way to get information out to the people. But I do like your idea, John, and I will say that the last time that I went to at least the city's web page, it's extremely incomplete as far as how to get a hold of your council rep. There's a beautiful picture of Greg Bowman on there that I used to chase animals out of my garden. And but But yes, I think that we do need to develop a page where somebody could go in and look at it. And it would be a great place to post the agenda early so people could look on there and go, okay, here's our agenda. Oh, wait a minute. We've got this going on. I don't like that. Maybe I need to get hold of my council person who is this person, and here's their contact info, and give them a call and say, hey, I don't like what you guys are doing. So it's a great idea.
I agree 100%. The city app, if you guys have not downloaded the city app, City of Alva, I recommend downloading it. It's great for information and notifications. We use it quite often to put information out. I think it should be used more on the agenda side. That's a great point. Our city website is a little bit out of date. I've talked to people at the city hall, and they're working on it, actively working on it. In fact, the other day, our library director, who's helped take that on, called me and said, hey, Joe, I need a bio and some information for your city council, for the council page. So I know it's being worked on, but it definitely could be a little bit better. I agree.
Thank you. Yep. One quick follow-up here.
So you just mentioned something about pulling information. And a lot of people, if I have to go to a web page to look for stuff, I won't. You know, it's kind of like if you go to Google, you're going to look at the first two and you don't go to page 2. So a push notification is much more effective than a pulling off a web page. I'm just going to tell you that.
Okay. All right, looking around the room here. Anybody else have anything? Going once, going twice. I found a bidder. Hang on just one moment.
There's a bill in the legislature that any meeting that is subject to open meetings, that you have to allow people to come and to talk. Would you put that into your agenda, even if that doesn't pass?
On city council, it's already there. I mean, there's public comment already. I will say that
You guys don't go back anything before Kelly Parker. And Kelly really didn't have much experience when he took over. And that public comment that he allows that was at the bottom of the deal was sort of like Jewel Redu to come and say, hey, we got weeds in the streets. And it was something that was just like it says also for councilmen to comment, things that aren't on the agenda. But you really don't allow people to talk on the things that are on the agenda. And a lot of people have quit coming because of that.
I can speak to that as well from my time serving on the city council. That concept of the public comment came in early in my term on the city council and became the final item on the agenda. Prior to that, the way the meeting was run by the mayor at the time was it was the mayor's discretion to open the floor on any item on his agenda, and he could do so at any point in time on any item. And I believe that may still be the same structure to where that leadership can make those kinds of decisions. So I guess the question would be, would you support opening up action items on your agenda for public comment at the time that that's on the agenda and being reviewed?
Absolutely. I mean, if people want to come and make comments, I'm 100% for it, and I don't see any issue with that at all.
Yeah, I think it'd be just as easy as adding on each agenda a period for public comment with each agenda item. It just has to be listed in the agenda according to OMA.
Something else I was going to echo on that is I would like to make it a little bit easier of a process, or maybe not easier, but more of a known process for somebody to have something added to the agenda that's not a council member or the mayor, to be able to, give me a call and say, hey, this is something I want to talk to you and the council about. Well, let's put on the agenda and we can talk about it. Because if you come during the public comments and you're having an issue and that's not on the agenda, we can't really interact with you due to the Open Meetings Act. But that's something as mayor, if someone has a strong issue that they want to address the whole council and they want it on the agenda, it's definitely something that I would listen to.
Okay. One more time around that room. Going once. Going twice. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming out. Let's congratulate and thank both of these gentlemen and Mr. Ferris for making the effort to run. We appreciate your time and appreciate you coming out here this evening, and best of luck to both of our candidates. Thank you, everybody.
So the goodbye given by the gentleman who worked the room for us, Scott Brown, and I'm telling you, you probably saw as we looked behind us in the room here, it was a good full crowd this evening. Thank you for joining us on KALV, and thank you for joining us on KALVradio.com all over the world, no matter where you are. And we will switch you now, as quickly as we possibly can, back to regular programming. Thank you for joining us. Ben Buckland here on KALV. Good evening, everyone.